Hello friends, welcome you all to another video, and today we are going to continue with Hamlet, which was written by William Shakespeare, and we are going to start with the Act 2 scene 2, sorry, Act 3 scene 1. So you know that in Act 2 there are only two scenes, scene 1 and scene 2, and now it is the beginning of the Act 3 scene 1. I have not typed anything, so therefore you can see only the screen of Hamlet and William Shakespeare. uh, because of I don't get time to type that, so I express my apologies for that, because you cannot see anything typed on the screen, but you just listen to my voice. So let's get started without wasting any further time. So in the Act 3, actually the setting is inside the castle, and the characters like Collidius, Gertrude, hmm, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, Hamlet, Polonius. These are the characters which appear on the stage. So let's start with the summary. Collidius and Gertrude discuss Hamlet's behavior with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, who say they have been unable to learn the cause of his melancholy. They tell the king and queen about Hamlet's enthusiasm for the players. Encourage, Gertrude and Collidius agree that they will see the play that evening. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern leave, and Collidius orders Gertrude to leave as well, saying that he and Polonius intend to spy on Hamlet's confrontation with Ophelia. Gertrude exists, and Polonius directs Ophelia to walk around the lobby. Polonius hears Hamlet coming, and he and the king hide. Hamlet enters, speaking thoughtfully and agonizingly to himself about the question of whether to commit suicide to end the pain of experience. And it is his famous soliloquy. We can say his third soliloquy, which is a very, very famous soliloquy, occurs in Act 3, Scene 1. And what is the soliloquy? To be or not to be, that is the question. Actually, Hamlet wanted to commit suicide, so he was thinking that whether I should commit suicide or not, that is the question. So he says that the miseries of our life are such that no one would willingly bear them, except that they are afraid of something after death. Because we do not know what to expect in the afterlife, we would rather bear those ills we have, Hamlet says, than fly to others that we know not of. In mid thought, Hamlet sees Ophelia approaching. Having received her orders from Polonius, she tells him that she wishes to return the token of love he has given her. Angrily, Hamlet denies having given her anything. He laments the dishonesty of beauty and claims both to have loved Ophelia once and never to have loved her at all. Bitterly commenting on the wretchedness of humankind, he urges Ophelia to enter a nunnery rather than become a breeder of sinners. He criticizes women for making men behave like monsters and for contributing to the world's dishonesty by painting their faces to appear more beautiful than they are. Working himself into rage, Hamlet denounces Ophelia, women, and humankind in general, saying that he wishes to end all marriages. As he storms out, Ophelia mourns the noble mind that he has now lapsed into apparent madness. The king and Polonius emerge from behind the tapestry. Collidius says that Hamlet's strange behavior has clearly not been caused by love for Ophelia, and that his speech does not seem like the speech of insanity. He says that he fears that melancholy sits on something dangerous in Hamlet's soul, like a bird sits on her egg, and that he fears what will happen when it hatches. He declares that he will send Hamlet to England in the hope that a change of scenery might help him get over his troubles. Paulinus agrees that this is a good idea, but he still believes that Hamlet's agitation comes from loving Ophelia. He asks Collidius to send Hamlet to Gertrude's chamber after the play, where Polonius can hide again and watch unseen. He hopes to learn whether Hamlet is really mad with love. Collidius agrees, saying that madness in great ones must be carefully watched. And hey guys, here the Act 3 Scene 1 ends, and let's we talk about the Act 3 Scene 2. Actually, this act is very important. We can say it is a like a what we can say that before the climax scene. This act is the before the climax scene, and this act again it happens in the hall in the inside the castle. It was a bigger hall. It was the evening. Okay, that is the setting. And again the Hamlet, all the people, Rosencrantz, Guildenstern, Polonius, Gratitudes. Okay, Polydeuces, Gratitude. Okay, all these major important characters. Horatio also, Ophelia also comes on the stage. So let's start with the Act 3, Scene 2. So that evening in the castle hall, now doubling as a theatre, Hamlet anxiously lectures the players on how to act the parts he has written for them. Paulinus shippered by with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and Hamlet dispatches them to hurry the players in their preparation. Horatio enters, and Hamlet, pleased to see him, praises him heartily, expressing his affection for and high opinion of Horatio's mind and manner, especially Horatius' qualities of self-control and reserve. Having told Horatio what he learned from the ghost that Collidius murdered his father, he now asked him to watch Collidius carefully during the play so that they might compare their impressions of his behavior afterwards. Horatio agrees, saying that if Collidius shows any sign of guilt, he will detect them. The trumpets play a Danish march as the audience of lords and ladies begins streaming into the room. Hamlet warns Horatio that he will begin to act strangely. Sure enough, when Collidius asks how he is, his response seems quite insane. Excellent, in faith, of Chamberlain's dish, I eat the air, promise crammed. Hamlet asks Polonius about his history as an actor and torments Ophelia with a string of erotic puns. The players enter and act out of a brief, silent version of the play to come called Dumb Show. In the Dumb Show, a king and queen display their love. The queen leaves the king to sleep, and while he is sleeping, a man murders him by pouring poison into his ear. The murderer tries to seduce the queen, who gradually accepts his advances. The player begins to enact the play in full, and we learn that the man who killed the king is the king's nephew. Throughout, Hamlet keeps up a running commentary on characters and their actions, and continues to tease Ophelia with oblique sexual references. When the murderer pours the poison into the sleeping king's ear, Collidius rises and cries out of light. Chaos ensures as the play comes to the sudden halt. The torches are lit, and the king flees the room, followed by the audience. When the scene quits, Hamlet is left alone with Horatio. Hamlet and Horatio agree that the king's behavior was telling that he is a murderer. Now extremely excited, Hamlet continues to act frantic and scatterbrained, speaking glibly and inventing little poems. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern arrive to tell Hamlet that he is wanted in his mother's chambers. Rosencrantz asks again about the cause of Hamlet's distemper, and Hamlet angrily accuses the pair of trying to play him as if he were a musical pipe. Paulinus enters to escort Hamlet to the queen. Hamlet says he will go to her in a moment and ask for a moment alone. He tells himself to speak his mother, and here is his fourth soliloquy. And in his fourth soliloquy, he said that I will speak dagger to her, but use none. And here the act 3 scene 2 also ends, and here we are going to stop. And again, very soon within the 2 or 3 lectures, we are going to finish this play also, and we are going to complete our syllabus of paper number 4. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next lecture.